Am I wrong for calling the police on my niece who stole my car? I, 46 female, live on a farm with my husband and 2 kids. My brother, Dwayne, 38, has a daughter. We'll call her Emma, 15. My brother and his wife have always been very quick to compliment me on the behavior of my children. Angela, my sister-in-law, confides in me about Emma's troubles. Emma is very reckless, shoplifts, drinks, has an older boyfriend, and gets into fights at school. She's also constantly suspended in and out of school. Over the summer, Emma had a run-in with the law, and they were told that if she didn't straighten up her act, that she would end up in prison. They were suggested and tried therapy, but Emma would never participate. Dwayne asked me if I would take Emma and teach her some responsibility. The arrangement was that I would take Emma for the final month of summer, enroll her in school here, and keep her for the first semester. If all went well, Emma was welcome to stay with us. Otherwise, other options would be explored, those of which are unknown to me. Emma did not do well all through July. Her boyfriend drove over to visit her, to my dismay. I tried to make him leave, but it caused some backlash, so I figured I would set visitation, then wean her time from him more and more. Then I caught her smoking one of those electronic cigarettes twice. She would never do any of the work asked, would talk back, steal food, break things, and would be rude to my children. All of that could be dealt with. I knew that when school came around, she needed to be more disciplined. So one morning we got into an argument because I told her I was chaining up the fridge and that she better act right or else she'll be forced to scavenge for her food around the farm and cook it herself. If she doesn't want to contribute, she gets nothing the household has worked for. She was livid, throwing stuff, stomping her feet, making rude gestures. My son and I left to go tend to the animals' morning duties and told her that she better catch up to get some chicken tonight or start preparing to pick some vegetables for herself. After an hour of work, I sent my son back home to get me a change of pants due to a fall. He came back asking me if Dad had taken my car. We quickly realized Emma had stolen my car. Not only that, but she did not have a license, only a permit. I did what any reasonable person would do in the situation and called the police. They found her 2 hours later and arrested her, saying she was going to be charged with a misdemeanor for driving without a license and I believe joyriding. They told me she steals our cars all the time and always brings them back, which that would have been good information for me to know beforehand. My family is siding with them that calling the police when knowing she would be arrested was an a-hole move. Just to tack this on so I don't have to reiterate this to everyone who comments about the fridge bit. This was more or less an empty threat. If it came to it though, I can't say I would have totally rule-headed that out as crossing the line.
Am I the asshole for still going to my sister's wedding after my husband canceled my plane ticket? My husband, 36 male, and I, 30 female, have 3 kids, 2, 4, and 7. I'm a stay-at-home mom full-time, and I take care of the kids while my husband works full-time. My sister's wedding was last week, and we live hours away, which is an issue for my husband. When we first got the invite, he told me that he wasn't going, and that he will stay for the kids, and suggested that I do the same.
Weird.
Since the wedding doesn't allow kids and my husband doesn't want to hire a babysitter after the one we had robbed us, we had gone back and forth on this, but I insisted on going since that's my only sister and I wanted to attend what might be a once-in-a-lifetime event for her. He chuckled at my statement and we stopped talking about it. As the wedding was approaching, he brought it up and told me to miss it and stay with the kids. I suggested I could get my friend to stay with the kids, but he refused. I ignored him, spoke to my friend who agreed to watch the kids, and booked a ticket to travel to my sister's town in time. Well, my husband found out and went on about how he had to work. The most logical solution is that I stay home with the kids and let him make his living. I told him that I already took care of the kids and they'll be staying with my friend. Honestly, I grew impatient. The day of my flight, I dropped the kids off at my friend's place, then headed to the airport. I found out that he had canceled my plane ticket. I was upset, but still insisted on going, so I went home and got into my car and drove 4 hours to get to the town. At 5 p.m., my husband called and was freaking out on me, asking where I was. I told him I made it to my sister's town, and he blew up saying I wasn't supposed to go, even said he canceled my ticket to get me to stay. He demanded that I return, but I said not until the wedding is over. He called me a horrible, neglectful mom, then he had his mom scold me and accuse me of abandoning my own kids. There was a huge argument that ensued when I returned home, and my husband kept on saying I was horrible to leave the kids and to ignore him like that and do what I wanted. He's giving me the silent treatment as of now, and I can no longer take it. I felt guilty and did not enjoy the wedding at all. Was I wrong for still going? So there is an update here, Sean. So a lot of people on here brought up the possibility of my husband lying about the robbery that happened months ago and accusing the babysitter of stealing just so I can't hire another babysitter. He was the one who discovered the robbery, and I never saw or talked to her after he kicked her out. Upon reading the comments, I'm now suspecting that he made the whole thing up. I contacted the babysitter via social media. I sent her a DM telling her who I was and mentioning the incident that happened at our home. I didn't think she'd respond on, given that it's been over 7 months since she left us. But I was surprised when she responded in 2 hours' time. I again mentioned the incident to her and asked her if she could explain to me what happened. She sent me a long wall of text swearing that she never took anything from her home. She claimed that he touched her inappropriately while he was in the kitchen with her. She wasn't sure if it was an accident or that if he did it deliberately. She said he didn't say anything, but his looks made her uncomfortable. She also said she was willing to let it go till she saw that he started leaving her text demanding that she respond to him. Then the day he accused her of the robbery, he just lashed out at her, criticizing her work, and then told her to leave and not come back. She said he didn't accuse her of anything being stolen, just lashed out and told her to leave. I went on to try and speak to him on that, but he just kept blocking my attempts to discuss it, so I blew up. Showed him what the babysitter sent me, and he remained calm. I would have run. This he sounds like gonna murder someone. He kept repeating the line, "She's lying to you." Well, I absolutely lost it on him. I threatened to take the kids and go stay with a friend, which is what I'm gonna do today after he leaves the house. He kept calling me crazy to believe some kid's story over his and insists that I was looking to dig up dirt to start a fight. I did not see this coming, and I feel like a cold wave just hit me, and I don't know what to say about this.
Am I wrong for asking my mother-in-law to leave our wedding because her perfume was bothering me? I just got married to the love of my life. I've usually gotten along pretty well with my new in-laws. Usually my mother-in-law doesn't wear perfume, or at least not any that I've been able to notice. My wife had her mother be her matron of honor, so she was standing with us up front. It was a small area, and with her right next to my wife, I was able to smell her perfume. Shortly after the ceremony started, I started to get watery eyes and sniffles. Our ceremony was supposed to only last 20 minutes max, so I thought I would just push through unless it got worse. It didn't get worse until after the ceremony when my new mother-in-law hugged me. Itchy eyes, itchy throat, and headache got added to the mix. My wife asked if I was alright, and I told her I think her mother's perfume was getting to me. We had someone go get some allergy medication. I took one, but it didn't do a whole lot, and I started to feel out of it. We get to the reception, and we started to do our group photos, and I couldn't do photos with my mother-in-law in them. I told my wife we needed to figure something out because my symptoms weren't letting up and I didn't want to be out of it from taking more meds for our reception or have to leave our own reception. My wife asked her mother to keep some distance between us to try to make it easier for me. It didn't really. That perfume followed her like a damn cloud. Then my wife asked her mom to try and wash wherever she dabbed her perfume, but mother-in-law said she hadn't dabbed it on. She spritzed herself so it was on her dress too. At that point they said they were out of ideas and there wasn't anything we could do. I said there was one more thing and suggested that maybe mother-in-law leave to change her dress and then come back, or even just go to a nearby thrift store or something and get any kind of clothes. I'd even pay for them. I asked mother-in-law to either please to do that or leave and we'd visit later with Kate because it was getting to the point that I would have to leave. My wife and mother-in-law objected to this because my wife wanted her mom there the whole time. I understand the day was big for my wife and she wanted her mother there and I wanted her there too, but I wasn't able to enjoy my own wedding. I wound up sitting outside with some of my family and groomsmen. I started to feel better, and when I did, my wife came out and asked if I'd be going back inside. I told her no, so long as her mom was still there and hadn't changed. The night ended with my wife spending our wedding night at her parents' house. Am I the asshole for asking my mother-in-law to leave?
Okay, there's definitely something that celebos need to remember, and it's that servers never forget. I was a waitress at a super bougie Beverly Hills hotel rooftop restaurant for about 2 years, waited on a ton of celebrities. Some were really awesome, super, super nice. Some were total trash, and I remember to this day who those trash bags are, because I always lock it up there. So I'm not surprised by all this James Corden information coming out, because if you are rude to one server, you are absolutely rude to many servers. Like, that is not just like a one-off, I was having a bad day kind of thing. That's like, you are trash. So here's my James Corden story. It was not from when I was waiting on him. This was actually when I lived in Los Feliz, which is like a super hip part of Los Angeles. There's a restaurant called Little Dom's. Little Dom's is super famous. Lots of celebrities go there all the time. Now, I was walking down the street, going to a happy hour with a girlfriend, and we walked by Little Dom's, and lo and behold, who walks out of the restaurant? None other than James Corden. And I'm like, oh my God, celebrity sighting. I've got it in my head. As I'm approaching, I hear James Corden yelling at this busboy. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So being the nosy little Nancy I am, I obviously beelined straight for them down the street. And I overhear the busboy telling James Corden, that Little Dom's is closed right now. It's closed right now. They close in the middle of the day between lunch and dinner. And he's telling James Corden that he can get him a reservation, right when they open. He was trying to be really accommodating. And James Corden yells at this busboy, "A lot of good that does me, mate. A lot of good that does me." And so I just kept on going. Made it to my happy hour just fine. No incidents there. But now every time my friends and I are frustrated with something, we do shout out, "A lot of good that does me, mate. A lot of good that does me." So feel free to use that one. And I don't think James Corden is sorry. Because if he was really sorry, he would have apologized to the server and not the owner of the restaurant.
What is the most desperate thing you've ever done for somebody? I want you to think about it, get that image in your head, and then multiply it by 1,000. And that's the story I'm about to tell you about myself. If your thing is something cute, like I used to sleep with my phone on loud, so if he texted me after the bar, I could wake up and put makeup on and blah, blah. Yeah, I used to do that too. If you were to do a shot every time I do something pathetic in the upcoming story, you'll be blackout drunk on the floor. You'll need an IV. You have alcohol poisoning. One summer I'm backpacking across Alberta, and I know that my ex-boyfriend is somewhere in Alberta at the time. Text him. I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm in Alberta. Are you here?" He's like, "No, actually, I'm in Vancouver for the next 2 days, and then I come back to Alberta." And I'm like, fuck, because I'm supposed to go to Vancouver in 2 days, meaning we're gonna miss each other. We're gonna miss each other for the rendezvous he doesn't know I've planned. I wonder why he doesn't know that. Oh, because he dumped me for another girl who he was currently dating at the time. Anyway, up the airline, I'm like, okay, I gotta switch my flight to a day earlier now. It cost me $150 in a change fee, plus whatever the difference is in the flights, plus I'm losing the 2 nights of hotels I have in Lake Louise, plus I have nowhere to stay in Vancouver. The only smart thing I do is I say, you know what, I'm gonna go look around Lake Louise before I decide to leave the day I got here. So I don't do anything. I go to Lake Louise, turns out you can walk around it in 1 day, and I actually didn't need 3 days there, I'm not playing devil's advocate. This was still a pathetic story. So I go into the hotel next to the lake, and I'm drinking and getting fucked up, and there's a guy next to me, and we start talking. He's got to be 75 years old. He's a pilot, blah, 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 blah. He's flying to Vancouver tomorrow. And I'm like, God, is that you offering me a free flight to Vancouver, even though I will still lose the money I've already paid for the existing flight? Also, I will lose the money I paid for the hotels, but a win is a win. Yo, can I come with you? He's like, yeah, all you got to do is get to the Calgary airport tomorrow morning at 8:30. I'm like, no problem. Get back to my hotel, wasted, book a shuttle from my hotel to the Calgary airport the next morning for 6 a.m. I wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, get outside my hotel, bus isn't there. Looking at my confirmation, it says the Lake Louise Inn. I'm like, yeah, I'm at the Lake Louise Inn, but I see there's another stop called the Lake Louise Shack or something. I'm like, maybe the bus driver got confused and went to the other hotel. I fucking climb a mountain. I swear. It was it was a big hill. I get to the top. I'm sweating. The bus isn't there either. So now I start crying. I'm calling the fucking hotline. They don't open till 7 o'clock, but it's only 6:45. I'm like, what do you do if there's a customer service emergency before 7 o'clock? Anyway, at 7:01, they pick up the phone. I'm sobbing. I'm like, I'm going to miss my flight because of you fuckers. I know. I checked my confirmation. It is all correct. The woman did not give a shit. She goes, please hold. I'm holding. She gets back on the phone. She goes, we're sending a driver. They send me a toothless man who does not believe in seatbelts. He's driving a minivan, but he did bring me a coffee. I have a picture. Here's the picture I sent to my mom. This guy starts gunning it. We get to the fucking airport before the bus that was supposed to pick me up an hour ago did. Why? Because this man's a psycho and I risked my life. But I'm not done risking it because I'm about to get on a plane the size of my big toe with this 75-year-old man, his wife, and his golden retriever. Asks me if I want to hold the controls. Sir, no. I'm afraid of flying. I'm only on this plane because I'm more desperate than I am afraid of death. We land, I don't even know. I want to say a field. It was didn't look like an airport. Then I take a bus, a cab, and the SkyTrain to my friend's sister's couch, where I then call my ex-boyfriend and go, oh my God, I was wrong about my flight. I'm here just to see a man who cheated on me. Can you top that?
I ruined my perfect 4-year-old relationship in 10 seconds. I, 24M, and my girlfriend 23F, been together for almost 4 years. We were always doing great, and in all of those years we never had a breakup or a single fight that would separate us even for some days. It is the ideal relationship for me, and I never had any problems with her, or neither she had with me. We love each other so much, and I can't think my daily routine and my life without including her. Yesterday my brother, 27M, invited me to a party that one of his friends was hosting, and he told him to bring me and my girlfriend as well. I told her to come with us, but she was busy and couldn't make it, so I went alone with my brother. When we arrived at his friend's house, he introduced me to the host and the rest of the people that were there. It was basically a very small party with alcohol, music, and we're like 15 people there. Everything went smoothly for the first 2 hours, and time passed on as we were drinking and dancing with the flow of the music. I want to note here that I never drink more than 2 drinks, and actually I rarely even drink. The 1 drink for me became 2, and quickly went up to 5 without me realizing it. At some point I was so drunk that I started dancing with everyone in the room, and doing some crazy moves. I was actually really up, but I didn't want to puke on anything, neither I was dizzy. Well, and here comes the tifu. While I was dancing with some random people I met not even 3 hours ago, a girl approaches me and starts talking to me. Let's call her Eve. Eve, 29F, and I had a small introduction, and we started dancing together. I want to mention here that I saw Eve kissing a guy when we arrived, but I didn't even give attention to that. I think she started flirting with me, cause she was looking deep in my eyes all the time. She was teasing me, and she grabbed my drink on purpose sometimes to drink from it. She left after some time, but I didn't even give attention to that. After some time the alcohol did its job pretty much, and I started feeling dizzy, and I went upstairs to the bathroom. All I can remember was that Eve was outside the hall, and when she saw me, she knew I wasn't very well, and she grabbed me and made me sit to a couch that was upstairs. We sat down, and suddenly she grabbed me and started playing with my hair to make me calm. I leaned on her neck to rest, and she had her hair in front of it. When she saw I leaned to rest, she grabbed her hair and exposed her neck. Well, and then I started kissing her neck. She didn't push me back or anything. Then I started kissing her in the lips. She stopped for a second and whispered to me, "Don't do that," but I continued, and she didn't even slightly resist. She knew I was in a relationship, I told her when I met her. Actually, she seemed to enjoy that. 10 seconds later my brother and his friends come upstairs to check on us, and they saw everything. After that nothing really happened except that they put us in different cars, and they drove us home. That's all I remember from yesterday. I woke up and realized what happened, and I started crying like crazy. I don't even know why I did that. Being drunk isn't an excuse, definitely, but I can't recon what I had in my mind. I know that if I don't say anything, she might never learn about it. But I can't live with that, and I can't be with her and keeping this huge secret. It just doesn't feel right to me. I am definitely gonna talk to her and tell the truth. She deserves it. I am disappointed, and I feel gross about me.
My fiance, 31 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. There wasn't much that disagreed on during the wedding planning, except for food. Me and my family are vegans, and there are so many reasons why we chose this lifestyle, and one of them being that we have a history of health issues. My fiance and his family are the complete opposite. They're hardcore meat eaters, which is fine by me, obviously. However, when deciding on the wedding food menu, I wanted to add 4 to 5 vegan options. My fiance and his mom objected, saying it was a waste of money over food that, quote, isn't real food. They also argued that this would be offensive for their guests and suggested my vegan options just be the good old salad and appetizers. I said no, because for one, it's me and my family who's paying, and 2, I want to make my guests feel welcome and not be treated as second-class citizens by being served salad. My fiance made a face and said, "Isn't that what vegans eat?" I refused to argue about it and said it was final. The other day, I found out that he had canceled all the vegan options and took them off the menu completely behind my back.
What a weirdo.
I was seething. I called him at work, but he kept on hanging up on me. I went straight to his workplace and confronted him there and just flipped out on him. He was stunned to see me. He at first said it was his mom's idea, then told me to go home because I was making a scene at the office. The fight continued at home, and he defended himself by saying that I sort of made him resort to doing this after I kept brushing off his thoughts and input and refusing to accommodate his family. But there were plenty of meat options. Why? Why can't I get 4 to 5 vegan options when I'm paying for it? He yelled that it was his wedding too, not my family's. My family said it was fine and they'll figure it out and told me to let it go, but I refused. Am I the asshole for putting my foot down on this?
Am I the asshole for asking my 27 male, unemployed girlfriend, 24 female, to get a job? Half a year ago, my girlfriend got me a great job in a new career path we both decided to take. It normally takes newbies 2+ years to get this kind of job she got me. The job was offered to her first, and it's a family connection, but she gave it to me because she saw how stressed out I was about not being able to get a job. Instead, she accepted an unpaid internship that would have turned into a full-time position, but her boss treated her so poorly that it took a toll on her mental health. She ended up leaving leaving after 2 months. I told her she could relax for a while before starting her studies again, if she ever wanted to, and I told her that she didn't even need a job because I could support both of us. She's given herself the duties of cooking us elaborate meals, cleaning, and doing all of the chores. She's gotten me presents to help make my job easier and makes me coffee throughout the day. I work from home. I am very grateful for everything she does. My job has been stressful since day one. I work 12 to 13-hour days and I work on weekends. I haven't been able to spend much time with my girlfriend. She claims to understand, but she is constantly upset that we don't hang out anymore. She told me that she knows it isn't my fault and isn't demanding more, but she's sad about it. We got into a huge fight the other day because she asked if that little time we spent together could be more meaningful. I felt like she was demanding more out of me. I have so little personal time as is, and I think she wanted me to allocate more of that to her. I admittedly say mean things when I'm angry, so I called her a selfish person and said that she only pretends to care about me, but that everything she does is self-serving. Then I told her I felt trapped and smothered. I realized recently that my girlfriend being unemployed puts a lot of pressure on me. Even if I can't reduce my hours and I make enough for both of us, I want her to be able to support herself if something happened. I told her that this pressure makes me feel trapped. Then I said that having to worry about whether or not she's happy stresses me out more than I already am. I told her that I'm the unhappiest I've ever been in my life and that a large part of this is our relationship, but if she got a job, a lot of these feelings would go away. She said that she would find a job so I could stop feeling this way, and the issue seemed resolved. But there have been a few times since then where I've walked into a room she's in and she's been visibly crying. When I ask her what's wrong, she says she doesn't want to talk about it because she doesn't want to stress me out more. I have a feeling it's about the fight we had the other day, but she won't talk to me about it. I don't think I said anything wrong by asking her to get a job. I was being honest about how I felt, but it clearly hurt her. So, am I the asshole?
8 months ago, I made a video saying I looked like Draco Malfoy with my hair slicked back, and it went nuts. Absolutely crazy. I went viral pretty much overnight, and it's changed my life ever since, and I'm so grateful to everybody that made that possible. Cut to present day. This is Tom Felton. He is the actual real-life actor who plays Draco Malfoy. I've made, like, loads and loads of videos, like, loads of little silly skits pretending to be Draco Malfoy, and people have been tagging them in them for months. That, like, maybe he'll respond or something. Tom has recently released a book called Beyond the Wand, which is like a personal memoir, autobiography, details his time on Potter, and he was kind enough to send me a copy, which honestly made me lose my mind, and I was very, very excited. He then commented on that video about me talking about the book and how excited I was, and I was even more excited. But you see, this is where the story gets interesting, because moments before I made this video, I got a text asking if me and my lovely friend Chanel Williams, who I will tag below, wanted to come down to London and film some content with him. After about an hour of screaming, I calmed myself down and sorted all the fine details out. And then on Saturday, me and Chanel, look how cute we look here, made our way down to London to go and see Tom and potentially film some content with him. Went to this lovely event for his book filled with loads of other Harry Potter and Tom Felton fans. It was a really wholesome and lovely afternoon, and he talked about all the Potter cast members that are no longer with us and all his favourite funny stories from Potter and some things about him growing up. We met loads of people on TikTok that watch our content, and it was really, really sweet. Then we got to go backstage and meet him, and honest to God, I could say that it's possibly one of the best things that's ever happened in my entire life. He was super, super lovely. He had so much time for us. He recorded content with the both of us, time to chat to him, which was really cool. The really amazing thing about this is that none of it would have happened without TikTok. I am so eternally grateful that this happened. Like 8 months ago, I was just scrolling through like everybody else, and I took the time to post one stupid video of me going, nah, why is it that some girls look really sexy with their hair pushed back and I look like Draco Malfoy? And people just went for it. Now, this is my life. What the hell? I got to record a TikTok with the actual Draco Malfoy. What is going on in the world? The internet is wild. I love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you to everybody that made this happen. All that's left to say is wait till my father hears of this. Filth in my blood.
So over the weekend, I took my comprehensive exams, which for my graduate program, it's like my final test. It was like 9 essay questions, and I had a weekend to complete them. Every single day, from Friday to Sunday, I was working on these things, and I would watch the sun go down and come up every day. When Sunday night rolled around, I still had 3 more questions to answer. So I stayed up all of Sunday typing away. Typing. And again, I watched the sun go down and come back up. I turned in my exam at around 9 a.m. Monday morning. But then it was 9 a.m., so I had to do the day. So I did my whole day without getting any sleep at all, which I had never done before. and it was bizarre. It did not feel real. So after being a sleep-deprived, crazy person for Monday, I was able to get some rest before Tuesday. But then when Tuesday rolled around, I realized that I needed to grade 40 essays before today, which is Wednesday. So all day Wednesday from like 2 p.m. until this morning, I was grading papers. I had to grade 40 1,000-word essays. So again, last night, I watched the sun go down and come back up. And that is just too many times to watch the sun go down and come back up in a 7-day period. It is just too much. And I feel myself popping off a little bit, so I'm going to rein it in a little bit. But basically, grad school is fun.
I am really bad about coming up with a lie on the spot. If you give me a little bit of time, I can come up with a great lie to get out of anything. But if you back me into a corner, you're going to know I'm lying. Anyway, so we all know my now boyfriend Luke, but before we started dating, I was stuck in the friend zone for 4 years, yada so and such. Well, let's take it back, shall we? This story takes place while Luke and I were still friends. I was hanging out with Luke one day and Luke's friend. Now, something about me is I have a very short social battery. And I was done hanging out with them for the day. My battery had emptied and I'm like, I'm ready to go home. Nothing happened. They didn't offend me in any way. They didn't say anything wrong. I was just done. I wanted to go home and sit on my own couch by myself. I was done being social for that whole day. So in the mid-conversation, I just stand up and I say, okay, bye. I do it all the time. I didn't think it was that crazy. All of a sudden, something takes me back. Luke goes, where are you going? I'm like, nobody ever asks me where I'm going. Usually they just let you go. I'm like, oh, I have to go home. Heading for the door, he stops me again. He's like, why? And I'm like, oh, I just have some things to do. He's like, Kirby, I know you. You don't have anything to do today. At this point, I am like a rat trapped in a cage. I am like fighting to get out of this apartment for some reason. I just really wanted to go home.
It sounds like you were a prisoner.
I wanted to leave. I was like, so you know what the best lie I could come up with? I turned to Luke and I said, I'm sorry, I just have to go home and vacuum. And then I turned awkwardly and I left. And Luke still gets made fun of that story to the day because his friend is like, wow, that girl wanted to get away from you so bad she had to make up a lie about vacuuming.